And welcome to another episode of WarDice. My name is Gonzo.
And I'm John from War Budgies.
Um, you know what? What episode are we on right now?
This is episode 3 of WarDice.
I think so. Yeah, 3. Because we do them every other week that we kind of get like thrown off and everything. Yeah, because we've done ISA and robots.
Imperians. Yeah.
Robots that hate squirrels. Hey, that's a callback from our last episode if you didn't catch that. Today we are going to do something a little bit different. We are going to not talk about armies. We're going to talk about community. But before we talk about our community and how to grow it and how to build it and da 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 da, I wanted to send a big thank you to John because John is actually becoming to I don't remember how we actually met. I think I was talking to you about some stuff and was like, hey, you're doing really cool shit for Warcaster. My name's Gonzo and I'm a weirdo. Would you like to work on stuff?
That's a direct quote, yes.
Yeah. And I think you were like, yeah, that's cool. Um, and, you know, I'd asked you because I know that you were coming to Warfare Weekend if you wanted to take over and do the Warcaster stuff. And, you know, I'd let you, you know, sit around and play games and everything, but no. You said yes.
Mm-hmm.
And since we've been working on getting Warfare Weekend ready, our tables have grown exponentially for terrain because we know we are going to do a episode on Warcaster terrain, but the terrain has grown quite a bit.
It's amazing, yes.
So we've gotten quite a bit of terrain from Tinker Turf, which we know makes great Warcaster terrain. We've gotten some other ones, and I've built one. I joke around. It's actually my old Star Wars Legion, so it's like a Tatooine set, but it's great for Warcaster. But Tinker Turf has supplied us with a few more terrain tables, and I've gotten some more from them. And so we'll have some really legit tables. Do you remember what all events you're running? I'll put you on the spot here.
Yeah, I know. It's all good. So the Warcaster Championship, we're definitely running. Very excited about that. I haven't looked to see how many people have signed up yet, but that's definitely going to be a thing.
Mm-hmm.
We're also running the culmination of the Jericho Reach narrative campaign. If you haven't caught that, it's on the Warbudges YouTube. We just put up episode 2 last weekend.
Yep.
And so the big finale event is going to be at Warfare Weekend on Friday. And that's going to be a chance for you guys to board and sabotage or protect this giant flagship that's hovering over the Reach.
Okay. I'm actually waiting for that because I know a lot of people are like, I just want to play some narrative stuff. And I'm like, here you go.
Yeah.
And you actually get to, you know, have something and do something and, you know, be part of it. So, well, we're pretty seeing. So, guys, if you like Warcaster, you want to come out and play some Warcaster, and actually all weekend, because not only will you have the narrative event, the championship, but you also scrambles, which for me, I didn't know, scrambles are 8-man quick tournaments. The TO, whoever's running it, says as soon as they get 8 people, they start running a tournament. It's one scenario the entire tournament, so you can kind of play, and then you kind of set the point, you know, the point value of what they are going to do. But you also go, Privateer Press is going to be there with vendors as a vendor, and we'll have, I'm sure, Warcaster stuff, and they always do good sales. I think last sale was buy one, get one free, which is great. Especially if you're wanting to jump in and help get your friends into the game, aka build a community.
Smooth transition.
So we're going to go and talk about this. I've been wanting to do this for a bit because, of course, during the whole pandemic and COVID and stuff, we've had to stay away from, you know, stores, you know, community. And I think that's one of the reasons why people are now getting into this game, because people are now seeing it and coming in and doing it.
Yeah, so, it looks good in person. It really does.
Oh, yeah. And so I thought this would be a great segment in between army building and list building. We're going to talk about how to build your community, what to do, and what not to do to build your community, besides pick your nose and wipe it on your shirt. But, you know, that's a whole different story. So one of my big things about building a community, and I think it's very important because there's nothing wrong with you playing a game with your friends and your buddies at your home, drinking beer, so on and so forth. But I think one of the biggest way to build the community is take the game to your local game store.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's very important to do that, and just go there. I mean, check with your local game store, see if they have a night set aside for games like this, because sometimes game stores have like, this is War Machine night, this is 40K night, this is, and so on and so forth. But if you have a local game store, go visit them, because that's where you're going to build your community.
Yeah. And there's a common theme that I'll be mentioning throughout this, and it's the best way to sell a game is to show that it's fun.
Correct.
And the thing that you and I, Gonzo, we ran a bunch of demos at Adepticon last year. And I mean a bunch of demos. But as soon as you start putting models down and rolling dice, people just gravitate over. And you see this stuff in person, these miniatures and all the terrain set up, and it looks gorgeous.
Correct. I mean, and the thing is even if you don't have the Tinker Turf terrain, or you have, just whatever, it doesn't matter. Just put something down and start playing. People are going to come over and look at your stuff. John and I have joked about it that, we try to find out who sold the most boxes or who sent the most people to Privateer Press to go buy the game. And I think him and I are going to have a fun little competition next year at Adepticon to see, who can have the most people over there buying product of Warcaster. But there is something, because I can tell you about a game all day. I can show you pictures, but until you're physically there rolling dice and committing and doing actions, it's really not going to matter, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Get down there, and it's just, if it's me and John, we go down to the local game store, we set up a table, we start playing, and, people are going to look.
Yeah.
Because they're unique.
Yes, but it's almost like a form of art in 3D. Like when I first got into wargaming, like back in 2001, I got some of the magazines, some of the photos. It's like, oh, this looks kind of cool. But the first time I walked into a store and saw a fully kitted out board with all these miniatures on it, that blew my mind, and I'm still not over it 20 years later.
Yeah, there's something to say, especially if you do something pretty fun and cool while you're playing, aka a Warjack is on top of a 12-inch building and you yank it off. People will gravitate to that. They're like, "What the hell did you just do?" I says, "Well, I pulled him off because I need to destroy him." You didn't blow him up? No, I just pulled him off. He died from the fall.
It's way more fun that way.
It is. It is a lot more fun. And there's something to say about when you're playing and you're making jokes and you're laughing, and you're like, "Oh shit," when something happens that's really cool or stuff. People take notice of that.
It shows that it's fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Go to your local game store, talk to your local, your owners, runners, talk about setting up, if they have a night that you can play, and go to the game store. Because I'll tell you, when people look at the miniatures, that changes, especially when they're on the board, changes a lot of people's perspective. Because they're like, "Oh, those look stupid. Okay, let me put this double, sword wielding, Warjack on the board." And they're like, "Oh, okay, never mind."
Yeah, that's cool.
Type thing.
Yeah, I'm very fond of saying the single model that sold me on this game of Warcaster, now that I'm so deep into it, was the ISA Firebrand with sword and shield.
Yes.
I put that together, I looked at it in my hand, and I'm like, this is incredible.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that were like, "Well, I don't want to do this because of XYZ," and you're like, "Well, you want to try it out?" And they try it out, and they're like, "Okay, this is a lot different than I thought it was going to be."
Yeah.
And that's how and that's one of the most important things to build a community and stuff, is you got to get out of playing with your friends at the, at house and go to the game store. Of course, check with your local store, find out, but I think that's one of the great things.
Yeah.
And when you get to your local game store, be very active in social, on their social media pages. If you need to set up your own little one, like Warcasters of Timbuktu, do that, or be active on social media, either your own page, the official pages, Discords, whatever, and start scheduling that stuff.
Yeah, because after you've shown that the game is cool, then you need to have opportunities for people to come try it out.
Yes. I think doing a good scheduled game night is always really good. Like one of my local ones, they do like Mondays and Thursdays. Of course, Saturdays are kind of like a free for all, but like Mondays and Thursdays are kind of everybody gets together, hang out, and plays a variety of games, and everybody knows that. So everybody knows Monday or Thursday I can go there and play X Y Z,
Right.
which is very good. You schedule game nights and keep that schedule. Now, if something comes up where, like, hey, we have to run a tournament of whatever, you can't be here for that, everybody gets that. Schedule something else. Schedule a hobby hangout night.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, one of the big things that we did whenever the pandemic was going on was scheduling a game night where we all got together on, like, either Discord or Skype or Zoom or whatever, and we all hung out while painting miniatures.
Yes. I have never been so productive in painting as when I'm painting hanging out with people.
Correct.
Because then I have to stay focused on what I'm doing. I can't just get up and go watch something.
Correct. And that's another thing. Building community means not just playing games, but working with it. And the thing is you don't have to be painting Warcaster. You could be painting, they could be painting something else because, maybe they have a tournament coming up and they have to have their, the War Machine model painted before then. And so just hanging out and painting with those people can be really good.
Sharing the hobby.
Yeah. And you don't even have to, wait until something happens. Just say, hey guys, Wednesday night, we're going to hang out and we're going to listen to techno and paint miniatures. Anybody want to join us?
Yep.
And you can go and do that.
I will give a big shout out to some of the guys in the Facebook group, Chris Graves, Adrian Brown, AJ Fields, and Avery Settle, because we have it set up where we all meet up at the game store like every other Saturday. And sometimes we bring miniatures to game with, sometimes we just paint, sometimes we just sit around and talk about game stuff. But it gives a place that we can all regularly come to and sort of nourish that hobby.
Yeah, I mean, because one of the things I've missed more than anything, being a big War Machine and Hordes tournament player, was after the tournament, we all went out to go eat like hibachi or, whatever, where we can all kind of sit around together and we eat food and we talk about the games. And then we also talk about, how is your life going? What are you doing? Did you finish your schoolwork? Did you get your degree? And that right there builds very strong relationships with people.
Yeah. And it's not hard. It just takes time.
Correct. I want to go on a slight negative note here on something that you shouldn't do.
Everybody brace yourself.
Everybody brace yourself. There is a saying on More Than Dice that I've learned from my friend John, my other co-host on More Than Dice, is don't yuck in my yum. I think it's one of the biggest issues I think a lot of players have is, I'm going to give this as an example because I saw this and I had to catch my friend on it. We're sitting there playing War Machine and this guy comes up and is just like, well, I play 40K, it's better than War Machine, so on and so forth, and just starts ragging on us for playing War Machine. And I'm like, I don't care. I'm playing it. I'm having fun. My friend's, he's like, well, 40K, and he just lists all the things that he hates about 40K. And I'm like, I looked at him and says, that don't do that.
Yeah.
It reminds me of the old, Black Panther meme. We don't do that here.
We don't do that.
If someone starts dogging on you, just go, okay, I'm having fun. I mean, this is my game, and I'm enjoying it. If you like that game, more power to you, dude. Yeah. Go have fun. Do not yuck on other people's yum. Just sit there and go, yeah, okay, cool. Now, if someone tells me, gives me, hey, Gonzo, what's your opinion on 40K? I'll give it to them. Yeah. Because then they're asking for my feedback on that. But I'm not going to dog another person because they play a certain game.
So I'll go ahead and say this as a YouTube content creator, and I know you probably have the same thing as a podcaster. Negativity is easy.
Yes.
It is so easy, and it's one of those things people throw out, hey, this is the worst decision ever. This game sucks, that game sucks, and all that. Because it's really easy to get people talking about it and engaged in it and all that. But it's not healthy. It's not healthy for the community, and I don't think it's healthy for the people.
No.
Positivity
Um,
takes effort.
yeah, I always say that for every negative post that you put out there, you've got to do 10 to 15 positive posts from other people to even balance it out. And you shouldn't do that. One, we shouldn't be dogging on anybody that's enjoying nerd stuff anyway,
Exactly.
slash geek stuff. We were picked on enough, people look on us kind of weird anyway. You don't need to be putting that negativity out. If you don't like something, move on to something else. But don't dog somebody because they like something that you're not playing.
Exactly.
Um, and it does get kind of hard because some people are very vocal and very mean and very hateful with what they're doing, but you have to just like go, Black Panther, we don't do that here.
Yeah.
And I think that's very important for people to realize because there's always this, and I hate to say it, this us versus them mentality when it comes to some wargaming groups, and I'm like, and I'm not talking like club battles because I enjoy competitive club battles, but I'm talking about 40K versus or Games Workshop versus anybody else. If you really
Yeah.
want to put it blunt, just don't get into it. Go, you like Age of Sigmar? Cool, have fun with that. I'm gonna go back to playing War Machine or Warcaster or whatever.
Yeah.
And when I'm making my pew pew sounds and I'm making sounds of people dying, know that I'm having fun. But I think that's very important for people to understand.
Yeah.
Um, Going back to something that brought up that came to my mind was the painting and hobby nights that you can do like on Skype or Zoom or whatever. One of the things that's very important is people don't have a lot of money to spend on terrain. While some terrain out there is cheap, and if you have a 3D printer, it's even cheaper,
Yeah.
so you can make your own 3D terrain. But I remember days before 3D printers and be able to buy stuff from Tinker Turf, where I would go to my friends and go, "What styrofoam do you have laying around?"
Yes. I have some friends of mine who still bring me just like weirdly shaped trash,
Yes.
and I'm incredibly grateful for it.
I mean, you paint it over with some Elmer's glue, so when you spray paint it, it doesn't melt. But
It takes one try to learn that lesson.
oh yeah, it does. But I think hobby nights for terrain, especially since this game is very terrain heavy, or should be, I should say, because you don't want any open lanes of fire for the most part.
Warcaster is, yes, absolutely.
For Warcaster, you want a good amount of terrain because you have elevation and climbing and flying, so you want that type of stuff. And getting together to do terrain nights, like, hey everybody, we're gonna paint and build terrain. Bring all your styrofoam bottles, cans, whatever, and let's build terrain appropriate for Warcaster.
Yeah.
So many times I remember getting a piece of styrofoam from whatever product and pulling it out, and I was like, "Oh, this would be a cool bunker building."
Yeah, exactly.
Uh, Spread some Elmer glue over it, spray paint it, do some decals. Boom, there's a bunker building that's a line of sight blocking piece of terrain somebody can stand on.
You might be a war gamer if.
Yeah. If you've looked at styrofoam and went, that looks like a silo.
Exactly.
And even just building stuff out of just basic wood, and stuff. And even if you can purchase like Tinker Turf stuff or any of the other ones, you can definitely use help putting that stuff together.
Yeah, it's a fun thing because everyone's going to be using it.
Correct. It's you still have to take time to build it. It's still glue and hold and position and stuff. So have a party like, hey, I bought Tinker Turf's XYZ package. Anybody want to come over? I'll provide beer and pizza, and we put together terrain.
Yep.
So
That actually leads into something else. This, the hobby that we're in for Warcaster, it's more than just a game. It's like 4 or 5 hobbies in one.
oh yeah,
You got all these different aspects to it. And I think it's cool when you're getting someone into it. It's like, yes, here's a game, but also if you like painting, if you like the arts and crafts part, if you like the storytelling part, there's a part of this hobby for you that we can all do together and enjoy, even if painting isn't your strong suit or even gaming. Like I'm a terrible player, but I love the painting. I love the hobbying.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot more than just rolling dice.
Exactly.
It kind of comes. I'm doing a little plug. It's the reason why More Than Dice is called More Than Dice. We take all aspects of the gaming, the painting, the hobby, and the community. The dicing, everything. And whenever we built the channel, that was our philosophy: was there's more to the game than just the dice.
Yeah.
And so that was where we took this, and people don't. A lot of people see this and go, "Oh, it's only I'm rolling dice. It's only about the math." No, I mean basing for your models.
Mm-hmm.
The painting, the terrain building, so on and so forth. There's more to it than that. And you're right, because I can paint miniatures all day and then play them and go beat them up, but I'm not doing much for my community if that's all I'm doing.
Exactly. And I'm fond of saying, like, I'm a storyteller first, and then I'm a hobbyist, and then I'm a social person, and then I'm a gamer. And if I had approached this game and people were like, "Yeah, it's just a game," then I probably never would have gotten into it. So
Correct.
I think it's important when you're building that community, find the part of it that people enjoy that really draws them in, and support that.
Oh yeah, I have a friend of mine. He does nothing but play, but his wife does all the painting of his miniatures. And I'm like, that's a great deal. And she paints exceptionally well. I have a few of her miniatures she's painted, but I mean that's kind of how they work. She loves the painting aspect. He loves the playing aspect.
That's perfect.
Like there's one way to get a spouse into doing stuff and helping with the hobby, and then you both go to conventions. Which speaking about conventions, um, you had mentioned when we started talking about this that there's more than just one community.
Yes. So that's a personal philosophy of mine. As someone who has way too much free time sometimes, put a lot of thought into this kind of stuff. And really, when we talk about communities, I like to separate it into three different communities that most people have. I shouldn't say everybody. Your local, your online, and events and conventions. And you kind of have to participate in and foster those communities in different ways depending on what you want to get out of it. The local community is the classic, hey, I've got friends down at the game store, I've got friends who come over to my house to game and all that. And I think most people understand kind of how that interaction works.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're building friends, you're spending time together, you're hobbying and whatever, whatnot. You're doing games tournaments and all that. The online community is something that I've really enjoyed as someone who has moved around a lot because of military affiliation through my life, is having groups like the Discord. Like big shout out to the Warcaster Discord, to the Warcaster Facebook group. These are amazing online communities
Oh
where
yeah.
there's not really gaming, but you get to dig into all the other parts of this. We got people painting, we got battle reports, we got people out there writing fiction. Like this is a cool community, and it's easy to participate in because all it takes is some posting or a photo, and you're part of that online group.
Yes.
Yeah, and then
Uh,
there's the psychos who run the conventions. Gonzo. And I love conventions. I absolutely adore going to conventions,
I
even
love
though
them
I
too.
can't play worth a damn. I love going to conventions because there's this really cool energy about having this giant room full of a whole bunch of people who are passionate about the same things that you are. And
Yeah.
everyone's gaming and everyone's enjoying it and everything's just having a blast and it's just glorious. But those are three things to think about. It's like they need different levels of participation. There's going to be different things they ask of you, but it's cool.
The one thing that I always do, I have my local online. I'm not a huge Discord fan. I am on the Discord and I do make comments every so often. But conventions are my thing too. There is always a saying of convention family. There are people that I only get to see once or twice a year, and they're my convention family. And I know they're my convention family because um, about 6 years ago, my best friend passed away, and she was very big in the community, and the community rallied around and did a lot of cool things because of her untimely passing. And I know that conventions the convention families have done a lot of cool things for other people. I know someone that had their army stolen out of the back of their car, not at the convention, but at their local area, and they lost like $1,000 worth of miniatures, all painted up, so on and so forth.
That's nuts.
Yeah, all the people got together. We rebought that entire army for that person.
Wow.
I mean, the entire thing back. And that's the thing is community is very strong in a convention because we all know that it costs a lot of money to play the game. It costs a lot of money to go to conventions. And when someone disrespects that or, whatever, we all look at that person like, if you find out who it is, they're pretty much, banned forever. But you look at the person that lost it and you can feel that. You can like, oh.
Yeah, it's a thing we can all sympathize with.
Yeah. Because it's just, getting that convention family. And it's always great to go to a convention. Like, back when I was playing a lot of War Machine and Hordes tournament play, there was a group of us, about 5 of us, and we would always go to each event around the area. And we were known for winning a lot. And we eventually, we were like, okay, we're winning a lot. And so some people were like, well, Gonzo and the crew showed up when it really wasn't Gonzo and the crew, but I'm choosing my name. And they're like, crap. Well, we're going to get some good games in at least. But that's the thing. You start finding people and knowing people and seeing people and learning people. That's another thing. People that play Warcaster, we're at a convention, we're not huge. So you all get to know each other pretty quickly.
Yeah.
It's not like there's, 100-man tournament of Warcaster. There's like 15 or 20. And you get to play almost all of them that whole weekend. And you get to learn some stuff that you didn't, know before. So going to conventions is a great way to go, hey, I'm so-and-so. And they're like, oh, I've read some of your posts. It still freaks me out when people go, hey, you're Gonzo. I'm like, yeah? Like, you run more than dice in Warfare Weekend? I'm like, you don't listen to that stuff. And they're like, yeah, I do. And it's weird, but we remember those things, and it's cool.
Yeah.
To get that. And because you're going to get people going, yeah, you run War Budgie stuff, the Jericho Reach stuff. And you're like, yeah. And it's there's that community that we don't even see that other people know about. And we like to have people come around and do that.
Yeah. It's one of those things because you meet complete strangers, but you know immediately that you all have something in common that you enjoy.
Correct.
And there's something really cool about that.
Yeah. What was some other one that I was thinking about? You're more on this one. Content creation.
Content creation.
You are the man when it comes to content creation for Warcaster. I just ride on your coattails with the WarDice podcast because you are, and I'm going to say, you are the voice and face of some of the best Warcaster content creation out there. Privateer Press has even interviewed you because you're that cool.
Well, I appreciate it. It is honestly, it's one of those things that's incredibly honoring and mildly terrifying.
Yeah.
But what it goes back to, and the reason I kind of wanted to touch on this in the episode, is especially on the War Machine side of the house. I'm going to cross the streams just a little bit for a second. Like, there's a lot of really cool content being put out by people who get excited about the game. And whether it's in battle reports or just like they'll put up photos of their battles or do podcasts or do blogs and all that stuff. It's creating something that helps the hobby or helps the community is not difficult. It doesn't have to be like the full-blown production of things. But the origin of War Budgies, honestly, it goes back to a conversation I had with my friend Dave Norquist from Mini Wargaming.
Mm-hmm.
And I was telling him that I was kind of starting to think about getting into the battle reports. But at the time, I had like a webcam that I plugged into my tablet like it was garbage. I was talking about all this stuff like, oh, I don't know if I have all the time and the effort and the material. And he was like, look, man, whatever content is put out by the community helps the community.
Yep.
And I love that. And I really try to preach that to everybody who's like, hey, I want to try making videos. Just make videos. Just be part of the community. Be a face. Be a voice. And it inspires other people. It gets them excited about this game. And when they're excited about the game, then they want to participate.
Yeah, I mean, and don't worry about. I know it's like it's not. My first podcast sucked ass. I mean, it was horrible. I still, someone says you make a professional podcast, and I put, quotes around professional whenever I do this. I don't. I just put out stuff I think that's fun, people might want to listen to, get to hang out with people, and talk about my nerd stuff. If you have an idea, go for it. Just do it.
Yeah.
If it's just artwork, show cool artwork. If it's you want to stream painting, stream yourself painting miniatures. Um, don't go into anything thinking that you're going to be the next big, and don't think you're going to be Critical Role.
Yeah.
That's the best way to put it. Just go out there having fun. I mean,
Yeah.
I've been doing podcasting for 6 years. I haven't stopped my day job. I don't make any money off of this. It costs me money. But I mean, it's something I like to do.
Yeah. But what you're doing really is you're taking something that you enjoy and you're sharing it with other people.
Yes.
And because we've got that online community and this really cool, welcoming group of people, you're going to inspire someone else who likes the same things you do.
Yeah. And
So-
I'm going to give another shout out to the Warcaster Discord, because that group of people have been really cool about stuff. And it's still fun to see people going, dang, guys, that was a really cool episode. Thanks. And, giving us, pointers. I think someone gave us, like, whenever you do your AC version, just take 2 cadre and be done. And I'm like, I haven't really dug into AC a lot, so we'll have to see.
Oh, their cadre is spoopy.
Yeah. So, I mean, and we like hearing from people too. There's nothing wrong. Like, I'm sure we get stuff wrong. I think if someone says, hey, y'all should have taken this because I think this is cooler than what it is. And I'm like, cool. I would have never thought of that
Yeah.
type thing. But I mean, it's really nice to have the online community and make it easy for that situation. So another good shout out to the Warcaster Discord channel. Way to go, guys.
And as someone who's still, I still consider myself a relative newcomer to Privateer Press games.
Mm-hmm.
The community has been so amazingly welcoming of the content that it still almost hurts my head to think about. Like, I was not sure when I did the very first. There was a series of 3 battle reports to introduce Jericho Reach, the Battle for Jericho Reach, and it was just starter sets against starter sets, and I was like, people are going to hate this. And it was great, and people were like, hey, you're making content, welcome aboard.
Yes.
And it is just a really cool, gratifying thing. And then obviously one thing led to another, and now here we are.
Yeah, I mean, I've been with Privateer Press since War Machine came out back in the early 2000s. I've been a press ganger since, like, one of the very few first press gangers out there. And the community as a whole has been very welcoming, no matter what it is. I mean, we have our ups and downs like any other community, but I have friends, people I know. To tell you how cool the Privateer Press community, because that's what it really is. I'm going to do a quick flashback. I went to an ATC, the American Team Champion or Cup or whatever you want to call it, where they pick people for the WTC. My flight was late getting out from where I was starting, and so when I got to Georgia at my connecting destination, my flight was already gone. And my next flight out was going to be 9 o'clock in the morning, and it was like 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Oof.
So I was going to be there for, 13, 14, 16 hours. I went on Facebook page and went, hey, I'm stuck here. Is anybody around? Has anybody got a place I can stay? And within like 5 minutes, I had everybody going, Gonzo, I can pick you up. Let's go eat dinner. I'll let you sleep. I got a spare bed, and we'll take you to the airport in the morning.
That's awesome, dude.
Who does that? I mean, really, in today's age, I mean, I've known these people on Facebook, but they were not, I've never been to their house, so on and so forth. But I mean, that's the kind of community I want to be part of.
Yes.
Type thing. So, what's another good one? Another good topic? Before we get into one of them, I know that you wanted to talk about, the best thing for you to do, and I think this is really good, if you went to Adepticon or you went to Gen Con, and I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't do it at Warfare Weekend, where you can do the buy one, get one free. So if you buy one starter set, get another one for free.
Yes.
Great deal. beyond belief great deal for people starting out. It's always good to have a demo army faction ready to go.
Yes, my
So
rejected title for this episode was "How to Sucker Your Friends into Your Addiction."
yeah, um, there's and even if it's just the basic starter, I mean, the one that you can you get, and it's just the few troops and the jack and so on and so forth. There is something to say about you and I are playing a game and this person's watching. They're like, "Hey, you want to try it out?" And they're like, "Sure." And you bring out two starter sets. And
Yep.
like, we'll just play with the two starter sets so we don't go over and overload someone's brain. But having those two starter sets is very important. Um, if you can get all four of them, even better, because then you can lay all four of them out and goes, which one do you want to play with? And then they can ask questions like, well, what's this faction like?
Yep.
What's this faction like? Type thing, which I think is very good, because if you can go, well, ISA, they're fascists, but they got good weapons, you know, and you can run down, because
We
people
are
are like
both
that.
ISA players, to be clear.
Yes, we are both. And I like that. There's just a lot of things that you're going to have to, you're going to want to do that with your armies. Kind of know
Yeah.
a little bit about them, but always have like two sets of armies ready. Type thing to get people interested in playing. So it'll be kind of something you should do, in my opinion, I think.
I think it's one of those things. If you're going to be running demos or actively trying to build a community, you definitely want to have demo stuff.
Yes.
And that way they can actually put hands on. And you're right. Like if you have more options is better. They can see the game is fun. They can try it for themselves. And then they can turn around and be like, hey, I really like this set. And it's like, what, $60 for a starter set? And then you're in.
Yeah. I mean, and it's good to have just a quick and easy, ready to go thing. Especially, and another thing you do, schedule a demo night at the game store.
Yeah.
Nobody says you have to, wait until your game's over. I mean, say a bunch of your friends can't make it because they've all gone to Adepticon without you. And like, hey guys, I'm going to be at the local game store running demos on that. And anybody want to learn how to play the game? And have two armies set up and ready to go.
Yep. And I know it's a personality thing. I love running demos. I've run more Warcaster demos than I think I've played Warcaster games. Like it's a really fun thing to do. But watching someone who approaches the game with confusion and watching the confusion turn to understanding, the understanding turn into excitement, all in the span of like 30 minutes is really cool.
Yeah, a quick and easy, and I think a good demo game, maybe 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Give them the basics, And I always say, ask whoever wants to see the demo what their familiarity of miniature gaming is.
That does help. Yeah.
If they've been playing, for 20 plus years, you can kind of go and do a little bit of stuff a little bit quicker. And you can do a little bit of things. If someone's like, I've never played a miniature game, maybe pre-set up the scenario, and have things pre-set up out there. If they say, I want to see what the game looks like from start to finish, go from there. Talk to the person that you're going to be with, and see what they're wanting out of it, and see what they can do. Which leads to another thing, and you and I have talked about this numerous times, about game creators making the game and the community makes it thrive. I'm gonna let you go with this, and run with it for a minute, and I'm gonna kind of come up on the back end of you.
So this is one thing. It's kind of, it factors into my personal beliefs, and it was one of the big drivers as to why I made War Budgies, why I still do the content and all that stuff. The idea, the responsibility of the game maker is to obviously make a game. And that's not the responsibility of the community. And there's a lot of arguments back and forth about, well, the community can do this or we should do this and all that. The game creators make the game, but they can't make it successful. That's not, it's just not feasible. The community, it's I won't say our job, but if we want a game to be successful, we have to contribute to its success. And that comes down to all the things we talked about today. Introduce people to the game, show that it's fun, make some content. However much energy you want to put into the community is going to contribute to that game's success.
Very much so. Um, it always comes back to, people are like, well, I don't want to be in charge of that. Okay, I get it. But if you want a game to succeed, you got to do some little bit of work. You've got to go out there. You got to find people. You got to do it. Um, Not many game companies have demo crews anymore.
Yeah.
Thank you, Wizards of the Coast or what Magic Judges, for causing that issue. And it changed and shaped the way things are. The thing is you're just gonna have to go out there and do it.
Yeah, but you can do it to a level that you're comfortable with.
Correct.
Like, not everybody has to run a YouTube channel, be on a podcast, and do 10,000 demos. Not to call myself out on that point.
I'm known for driving like 4 hours to do a demo of a game.
And then there's Gonzo.
Yeah.
If we do a competition on demoing games, I'm going to lose because it's Gonzo.
I joke about it because somebody's like, what can we pay you? I'm like, you don't pay me. I'm here to demo the game for you and then build your community up. Give me a soda and we'll call it even.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what comes down to it at the end is we do this because we want this game to be successful, because we want to share stuff with people who are like us.
Correct.
And that's not something that you do as a job, but it's also not something that you need to stress yourself out for. Like if your whole contribution is, hey, I just want to set up a game night. Cool. That's perfect.
Great. I mean, you got to put in a little effort, whether you like it or not. That's just kind of how it is.
Yeah.
And it takes people to do it. It takes work. It doesn't happen overnight. But you've got to step forward and do it. And if you need help, ask for it. People are always willing to help. I'll tell you right now, nobody's willing to, back down. They may not be able to be there physically, but hey, I can help you promote it, or I can help you, I'll give you advice on what you need to. I'm not driving 10 hours to run a demo for you, but I will tell you how I would do it.
Yep.
And which comes down to, I think, our last one. Be the person you want others to come to. Being that person people go to is very important.
Yes.
To a lot of people. Like, I need someone to run demos. Well, I know John is very nice, very personable. He knows his stuff. He can get people started. And game stores start to notice that. And they're going to be like, oh, you want to learn how to play Warcaster? I'm calling up the guy I know. And people will start recognize it. I have people that call me all the time about running conventions and how to do it. And I'm like, why are you calling me to do this? I just do this. And it's like, because you know what you're doing. And I'm like, no, I don't. But I mean, it's that, what is it? What's that thing? I can't remember what it's called. Where you think that you don't think you know what you're doing, but everybody else thinks you do. I can't remember.
I think that's called my career, Gonzo.
Yeah, pretty much. Mine too. But be the person you want others to have out there. It goes back to my old schooling days whenever I was a teacher. Be the teacher that you wanted when you were a kid.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing for this hobby. Be that person that you would have wanted someone else to do when you joined it.
Right. We've been doing this gaming for years and all that. We've run into a lot of people. I'm going to tell you, I had first looked into War Machine years and years ago, but the first demo I tried, like, it was not a friendly experience. Like, it wasn't that fun. And I put the game down for the next, 5 years. And I come back to it.
Yeah.
But then coming back, some of the guys I game with now, learning War Machine from them, they're awesome, fun guys. And so they make the game fun. And so it makes me feel at ease and makes me enjoy playing this game.
Yeah. Don't be that person that runs people off because you want to win or you want a table or whatever. Be that person that wants to bring someone into the game because you run someone off. That's someone that could have been playing the game and you'd had more people to play with. It always irks me when I go to a demo or I see a demo and the person I'm demoing with is like a try-hard. And that's the best way to put it.
Yes.
Is trying to and not show me cool stuff. Like he's not like this is how you do a throw or this is how you do this. He's like I'm gonna get this one combo off that's only 1% chance, and it's like 7 models to do this one combo, and wipes me off the game before I even get to demo the game. I'm like, you didn't do anything for me.
Yeah.
I don't think I want to demo this game or play this game anymore.
I will say I don't think they have to win, because I've seen some demos
No.
where they're like they have to let the person win, but they still don't have fun because they're just softballing the whole thing.
Correct.
They have to have a memorable, fun experience.
I've always been when I do the demos, and someone's like, "I want to move here," and I go, "Okay, what's the point of it?" Type thing, or why are you moving here? He says, "Well, because I want to shoot here." And I says, "Well, while you move here, make sure you stand right here because that'll give you cover,
Yeah.
and it's going to make me very hard to hit you next round if you don't kill me." Type thing.
Just those little hints like, hey, you could totally throw that warjack off that 12-story building.
Yes.
Like, let them do the cool stuff.
Yeah, because I mean, you could have an open field and just roll dice shooting for dice mechanics, so they could learn the dice mechanics. But there's something about yanking a warjack off the top of a building and letting it fall.
Yes. They will remember that.
Yes, set up cool stuff for them. If you know that their model has a cleave type ability or a spray type ability, don't fudge it, but give them the option and then explain when they walk up, they want to spray. Like, oh yeah, I want to shoot this guy with the spray. He goes, well, the sprays actually hit everything in a line. So if you move over like 2 inches more, because you have that movement, you can get 4 models instead of 1 model.
Yes. And those moments where you can get that little light bulb behind their eyes to go from, I'm playing a game to I'm having an awesome time.
Yeah. And scenarios, like play the scenario up and, have them play it up. Say, okay, you don't really want to attack me, type thing. You want to grab this and run away. And they're like, okay. And, they grab it and run away. And then you try to stop them from running away. And then they start to learn, oh, I can actually spike to move 3 more inches. So I can get further away from you. Play into your opponent's strengths and let them know what they are. That way that they can get a sense not only for how the game plays, but gives that, like it says, that light bulb moment behind the eyes.
Yes. I live for that moment. That is the coolest thing.
Oh, yeah. Or, whenever you shoot something, or like, oh, yeah, your vehicle, yes, it can move 9 inches, but then you can choose this maneuver, it gives another 3, and then spike again for another 9. And then they're like halfway across the board, and they're like, damn. And I'm like,
all of a sudden your vehicle's the next game.
yeah. And they're like, okay, that's cool. You show the little easy to show combos like that, and people are like, okay, I can see how this can be really, really cool.
Yeah. Warcaster is an incredibly cinematic game, in my opinion, and it's easy to set those moments up. So, yeah.
Set it up, let them have fun. Like I said, don't softball the game for them, but teach them, okay, this weapon ignores cover and terrain, so you don't have to worry about it.
Yep.
Give that little thing behind it. Or, hey, you can fly, so you don't have to stay on the floor. You can go up to the top of the building and sit up there and shoot me. Type thing. So, I mean, doing the cool things in the game brings people back. Because then they're going to go, what else can I get to do even more? And then you can talk about, and I would also, talk about the models. Like Warjacks. It's not buy one and you're done. You buy one and you got many multiple varieties of the Jack.
Yeah.
Which is a very, very good concept when you think about it, and a very good thing for the money, because if you're good at magnetizing these models, you could have one Jack has multiple roles no matter what.
Right.
Type thing. So, I mean, show that aspect of it too, because that's a unique aspect to the game.
Yep. And I'll bring that back around to the whole content creation thing. Show what you think is cool.
Uh-oh.
Get them excited too.
Oh, you cut out for just a second. Show what is cool.
Oh, sorry. Show them what you find cool about the game. Like, I love setting things on fire and throwing things off building. Please don't call the cops. In the context of the game, I love setting things on fire and throwing things off buildings. So I will give people the chance every chance I get to do that in a demo game because it's cool. And a lot of people really enjoy that. They're like, I can do that. And I'm like, yes. And when they walk away, they remember not, I played a game with models. It is, I threw a burning warjack off a 10-story building.
And one of the things I always show is people are like, okay, so this is all the models I get. I go, yes, but when that unit dies, they can come back.
Yeah.
And you're not deploying on the back line. I mean, the void gate aspect of Warcaster is a very unique concept.
I love it, yeah.
And so it makes the game very dynamic. Because a lot of people are like, you deploy on that side, I deploy on this side, we meet in the middle, we blow each other up. And I'm like, many times I'm like, yes, we deploy across from each other, and then the battle shifts into a counterclockwise rotation because I've flanked you, and now I'm deploying on your flank.
Yeah. One of my favorite early battles when I figured this out, and I think it's actually one of the first 3 battle reports, is it was an AC versus March Worlds. And by halfway through the game, they completely switched sides of the board. and I was sitting here looking, I was like, what the hell is this game?
Yeah. Play up to the strengths of Warcaster. I think that's another thing, that elevator pitch type thing of Warcaster is dynamic battlefield with guns and laser swords. We won't say the other words so we don't get in trouble, but
Copyright.
But I mean, play up to the strengths of the game. I mean, the dice mechanic is unique. Deployment is unique. Redeployment of models is unique. Scenarios are unique. Play up to that strength of what the game is. And like I said, give your opponent that you're demoing or showing the game to some cool aspects of it. Show them and guide them. You're like, hey, yes, you could shoot me, but this card that you have in your hand, because I always play cards open-faced whenever I'm playing.
Oh, yeah.
Demoing with somebody. And I'm like, that card can do X, Y, Z, then you can do this. And they're like, oh, okay, I see that combo now. And I'm like, yep, that's kind of what it is.
Yep.
So, can you think of anything else? I think we hit everything that we actually put some notes down on this one.
Yeah.
And wrote some stuff like, Gonzo, don't burp. I'm like, okay, I won't burp this episode.
It's one of those things. Like, it's not a normal format, but it's a topic we both feel really, really passionate about. Obviously, because you got the convention stuff in the podcast, I've got the War Buddies thing, and again, all the stuff at Warfare Weekend. Like, it's something we think is really cool, and we want to share that.
Yeah, and I think it's very important now that we're all getting back into game stores, and Warcaster. I wouldn't say it came out at the wrong time, but it came out right at the beginning of the pandemic, and so it was like everybody had the models. Who can I play with? Nobody, yeah, because nobody wants to play.
It came out at a tough time. I'll be diplomatic about that.
Yeah. Came out at a very tough time for the world, not just Warcaster. But now that people are getting, and unlike the Facebook group is exploding, the Discord group is exploding, people are getting into it, people are talking. I think this was a relevant topic to talk about. We will continue to do, army buildings. I know that we do have in here to do a terrain guide, because this, not only the rules of terrain, but how to set up tables, what to avoid and what to do.
Yeah, we can talk about that for a while.
Yeah, we can ramble about terrain all day, and why it's important in this game. So we'll have some more type thing to going on, but we appreciate you listening and jumping in on this. Don't forget, be the positive voice out there. Bring people to the game so you can have more people playing, because more people playing the game is better for you.
And if there are topics you guys want to hear us talk about, by all means, throw it into the comments.
Oh, yeah, 100%. If you want to learn about something like how did Gonzo paint his model so crappily, airbrush, but I can talk about it. Or if you have questions for John about his Jericho Reach, about, like how does he do his editing, or how does he, how does he set up the story? Go for it. I'm sure he's willing to talk about it.
At the end of the day, we're still just two lunatics with microphones, so have at it.
Yeah. Well, guys, we appreciate it. Make sure you give a like and follow to everybody. Hang out with everybody. Check out Terrain. Check out Warfare Weekend. We hope to see y'all there. For More Than Dice WarDice, I'm Gonzo.
And I'm John.
let's play that cool music again. I really like it.